Welcome back to the Big Balc. It's been about 5 minutes since Jose V pulled off his upset win over Thunder's Reign, and now his practice partner, Sosa, is having his turn on the big stage against Phresh. We've mentioned both of these players tangentially in previous videos, but let's talk a little bit about who exactly Sosa and Phresh are. Sosa is the #1 player in Southern California, over Jose V, Venom, Machiavelli, and a host of other strong players. He consistently performs well at majors, placing 4th at Final Boss and then 9th at Supernova so far this year, and is probably the best Wario main in the world along with Strongbad. Meanwhile, Phresh is the #6 player in New York, New Jersey. He is the main ice climber who's pushing the character's metagame in Project M, and he's placed solidly at both of the East Coast regionals he's attended this year, getting 13th at Supernova and Blacklisted too. More important than just how he placed, at those events, Phresh picked up great wins over Twisty and Morix, the two best warriors on the East Coast, so he is very practiced in this matchup, in contrast to Sosa, who has pretty much no Ices practice here in SoCal. The set starts on Pokemon Stadium 2, a long stage with plenty of room for both players to work with, and Phresh takes full advantage. He gets a lead to kick off the game, and he holds onto it for 3 full minutes, stuffing any of Sosa's aerial approaches and absolutely refusing to go in, forcing Sosa to come to him and then anti-aerialing him over and over again as he builds his lead. There's a brief moment in their third stocks where Sosa actually does successfully get in on Phresh. He gets his first lead of the set, and then tries to jump between the platforms in an attempt to stall out Phresh's invincibility and extend his lead. Phresh catches him with an up air, which combos into Icy's surprisingly strong up B and helps him even up the game once again. As Sosa comes down on his last stock, and the two scuffle on the left side of the stage, Phresh gets a grab. Now, in general, PM Ices will be trying to end their grab combos with a forward air spike at the edge of the stage. That's their main kill confirm, and it's what they're generally looking for because Ices and PM don't have a consistent infinite the way that wobbling exists in Melee or the handoffs exist in Brawl. So if you were to get grabbed, being underneath the platform facing center stage on Pokemon Stadium is a pretty good spot to do it. But it doesn't matter. Phresh gets his turnaround handoff to get Sosa facing the ledge, and then hands him off towards the ledge until he combos into a spike. From a grab that started at 16%, Sosa's stock is over. Despite the brutal end to Game 1, Sosa does do much better on Game 2. He counterpicks the Fountain of Dreams, which gives him a top platform that he makes great use of, doing his best to approach Phresh from different and varying angles, and getting early nano kills that help him build a lead. Even better, the FOD platform coming out of the ground actually saves him from an early death that would have resulted in the stocks being evened up, and he ends up taking Game 2 with a 2 stock. But then it's Phresh's counterpick, and they go to Smashville, where at best there's a top plat maybe a third of the time, and the rest of the way is a clear open stage for Phresh to work with. Sure enough, with no plats to run to, Sosa has nowhere to go. He gets grabbed 5 seconds into the game, and immediately gets handoff to the ledge into a forward air spike. He takes a second, takes a deep breath, and goes back in. 10 seconds later, he's been grabbed again and is down another stock. We're 25 seconds into Game 3, Phresh has taken 11% in exchange for 2 of Sosa's stocks, and the contingent of New York players who came out to the Big Balc are screaming their heads off. 5 seconds later, it happens again. Sosa's now down 4 stocks to 1, and it's like 35 seconds into the game. Sosa slows the game down, not wanting to get grabbed a 4th time, and he manages to make it past the minute mark. He tacks on stray damage, and Nana kills herself, giving him an opportunity to take care of Sopo, and he's able to take a stock. But Phresh has just 1 win condition, and everyone knows it. The streamer actually switches to a crowd cam in the corner of the stage, just waiting for the pop-off as Phresh finally gets his last grab into a Wobbles-esque handoff onto the Smashville platform as it moves to the left side of the stage, ending in a brutal forward smash and a 3 stock to upset SoCal's #1 player. If you ask most people about iconic beatdowns in PM history, Phresh vs Sosa at the Big Balc is almost certainly one of the ones that will come to mind. From the pop-off in the crowd cam to the brutal minute-long Game 3, it's just a great watch if you're a fan of Ice Climbers players or just not big on Wario. But it's important for a lot more reasons than just that. This is a huge breakout for yet another of New York, New Jersey's top players. On top of the ones we've been talking about throughout this series, Phresh has come out of left field, going from 13th at 2 East Coast events in Blacklisted and Supernova to placing 3rd at the Big Balc, beating Sosa and then Oracle and Junebug, 3 huge upsets in a row in dominant fashion, to place 3rd at the most stacked event so far this year. It's also a great example of how much matchup experience can mean in PM. On the one hand, you have Phresh, who's great at this matchup and has already picked up wins over the East Coast best warriors. And on the other hand, you have Sosa. SoCal has no ice climbers. There are like 2 competent ice climbers in the world at this time, and most people aren't even really sure what the character is capable of. He had to adapt on the fly to Phresh's brutal punish game, and it's to his credit that he took a game in a matchup that the community would later decide is in fact actually a bad matchup. But it certainly plays a role that Phresh had a clear and defined game plan going in, and Sosa, just by his circumstances, couldn't. What's more, this win would block SoCal and the West Coast as a whole out of the winner's side of top 8 entirely. Sosa was the West Coast's last chance to make it into winner's semis, which is already populated by Flip, Junebug, and Lunchables. So Sosa really was the West Coast's best chance of making it into the winner's side top 8. This adds more fuel to the fire of the budding rivalry between SoCal and New York, New Jersey, which are quickly arising as the 2 best and deepest regions in PM right now. And we'll have plenty of time to talk about that rivalry and the way it plays out in future videos about future events. But for now, Phresh has brought about the beginning of bag season.